right, welcome back, everyone. This is the second episode of the Fantasy Frontmen podcast. Today's date is August 10th, 2015.
Thanks for listening to the first one. I'm Austin.
I'm Will.
And today we're going to discuss some bargains that we believe you can find in your upcoming fantasy draft. We're going to talk about some players that we believe are going too late and too early. Some players we think are really going to give you the bang for your buck in your draft this year.
Yep. So we're going to kind of take it similar to what we did in the first podcast, in that we're going to take it position by position, starting with quarterback. That format seemed to work for the first one. I think we got a pretty good response.
Yeah, I think
to the
people
first
liked it.
One.
We'll
I
see.
mean, it's
Still-
there's always
still
like
young.
the first podcast is always like, oh, your number one fan is your mom and like your closest friend. So I mean, we haven't got any emails yet for questions, but I'm assuming that will come.
Yep.
In the next,
We have a Facebook site
two
now.
episodes.
You can follow us on Facebook if you want, and Twitter.
Yeah.
At
Fantasy Frontmen.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the website, fantasyfrontmen.com, and then the email is fantasyfrontmen@gmail.com. So
We
send us your questions.
Look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, we'd be more than happy to answer them. We'd love to answer them, live for the next podcast, whatever questions you guys may have.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to start off with quarterbacks. I'm going to let Will kick it off with his player who he believes is going a little bit too early in drafts and he's going to not really give you that return that you're looking for in an early pick.
Yeah, so interesting too. We should give the few listeners that we have a little insight into. We recorded this podcast a while back, or not a while back, but it was last week, right? And we had like the technical issues, and we literally are now having to redo the whole thing because there's always the growing pains of the very first podcast.
We feel like
technical issues.
Yeah, we're happy to do it. We
definitely
like talking about it, and we're gonna.
But I'm bringing.
And actually, you picked last week Arian Foster.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
We're doing quarterback first, but I mean, before we got to running back, I literally, just so the listeners know, I just want to throw that out there, that before Arian Foster got hurt, I called Arian Foster my overvalued player.
Not that hard of a prediction.
No, I mean, like, it's not like completely crazy.
Yeah.
It's not like, super crazy. Like, oh, Arian Foster might get injured. Like, he's always injured.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to throw that out there that I did say that before it happened. He was my overvalued player. But anyway.
So are we doing this by ADP or are we doing it by...
Yeah, we're doing it by Yahoo ADP.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be found pretty much if you just type in Yahoo Fantasy Football ADP, and it gives you standard 10-team, gives you their average pick and round and stuff. So, okay. Anyway, I digress from the quarterback situation. So the overvalued guy that I have is Russell Wilson, and that's probably going to piss some people off. But if you look at it right now, Wilson's currently going in the third round of fantasy drafts.
31.
That's because he finishes the number 3 overall QB last year, which is, I mean, I noticed too, he's been in the league 3 years, right? So he's finished top 10 every year, and this year, previous year, he finished his best at number 3. He finished his number 8 QB in 2013 and the number 10 QB in 2012. 2012 being his rookie season. So he's, like I said, he's been a top QB every season he's been in the league. So you definitely get a safety net with him. But for a third round pick, I think you're going to be looking for a little more than that. Because you have to take into account that he had his best fantasy season last year because of his rushing totals. I mean, last year he had just under 850 rush yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. In his previous 2 seasons, he had never had more than 550 rush yards and 4 rushing touchdowns his rookie year. And get this, in 2013, his sophomore year, he had 1 rushing touchdown. So he had 8 times as many rushing touchdowns. And I just want to throw out that stat that I heard before that a lot of people don't realize. So only 5 QBs in the modern fantasy era have ever run for 800-plus rush yards in a season. And that was Russell Wilson, obviously, Vic twice, RG3, Randall Cunningham, and no QB has ever done it in back-to-back seasons. So Vic didn't do it in back-to-back seasons. He's the only QB to ever do it twice. So...
And he got arrested the year after for I'm sure.
He did. And then he came back the following year and was like the number 1 QB. I remember he would like play the Redskins, and he threw like he had 42 at halftime. Yeah, that was insane. Like Sean was hitting 90-yard bombs. So anyway, with Russell Wilson, just I'd say expect a regression there as the Seahawks look to probably protect their $87.6 million man. They gave him the 4-year deal. And I mean, one last thing too with Wilson. He last year, because the rushing totals, he had his lowest passing touchdown total of his 3-year career, where he had 20. He had 26 touchdowns each of his previous 2 years. And adding Graham should help this, with the red zone target. But with that rushing regression, I think you can expect him to fall somewhere inside the top 10, more along like 8, 9.
So you don't think he's going to make it up with his passing this year?
No. I do think
he's going to pass more.
I think he is going to pass more. And like I said, I am predicting double-digit touchdowns for Graham. I'm predicting around 10 or 11. But I don't think that Russell Wilson is going to be worth that third-round pick because I've said it before, like quarterback is just way too deep. Quarterback is super deep. And I don't think I think unless you're taking Rodgers or Luck, I don't think you should take a quarterback early. I think you should wait.
Yeah, and that's one of our 10 commandments that we're going to talk about on a later podcast date and our drafting strategies.
Rodgers and Luck are a tier of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And Wilson, I think like I said, he's a safety net. He's definitely going to be top 10, but there are a lot of quarterbacks who can be. Tannehill was top 10 last year, and he's going super late.
There's top 10 people going in the ninth round.
We'll get to my undervalued pick in a little bit, and I think he's better value. But
okay, so actually we're going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm actually going to do the undervalued pick.
Oh, okay, yeah. I forgot about that. Go ahead.
Switch. So I'm taking Phillip Rivers as undervalued this year. He's always been a top 10 quarterback in real life, probably top 5, top 6, I'd say. He's pretty undervalued. He's going constantly in the later rounds. Right now, he's going around 105, which is the 11th round, like right in the middle of the 11th round. Last year, he finished number 12, so he is a QB1. In a 12-team league, high-end QB2 in our standard 10-mans that we usually play. But he started the year really hot. He got an injury, and he doesn't have much on his team. He doesn't really have a lot of weapons. He has Keenan Allen, who had a pretty bad sophomore slump. They've added Stevie Johnson this year, who's a pretty good over-the-middle slot guy. I think Keenan Allen's going to play a little bit more outside, use his strengths. He might play the slot a little bit, but he's not really a physical receiver. He's a little more possession, quick, good hands. So I hope Stevie Johnson will stretch the field a little bit. If he can, keep his head on. He hasn't done a lot since his Buffalo days, but he's still
a viable receiving threat.
Yeah, and he can definitely stretch the field
good
a
slot
little bit.
Guy.
So last year, Rivers threw for 31 TDs, which is good amount. It's
really good.
Top QB numbers, 4,300 yards. And he's pretty under the radar. He started out MVP level, kind of slowed down towards the end. He is missing Gates for 4 games this year. He loves Gates in the red zone. But we do get to see Ladarius Green come out, who's apparently pretty good and fast. So
he's been a sexy sleeper pick for a
big
while.
red zone threat. He's got freakish talent. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to shine and start throwing some more 2 tight ends.
Yeah, Rivers said Ladarius Green is the fastest guy on the team.
Yeah,
he's a tight end.
Probably true. He's a every year Ladarius Green gets talked about as the sleeper coming up this year to take over Gates, and Gates has been consistent for the last 12 years or so.
And with Gates out 4 games,
now he's
Green
finally
has
got
a chance.
suspended for PEDs, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Woodhead's coming back. Woodhead's gonna huge passing game asset, good running game, good draw play, keeps the defenders honest. He can catch out of the backfield. Last year he broke his leg, which really cost us the Chargers some definitely a game or two. Just not having Woodhead, I'd say. They missed the playoffs last year by 1 game.
He's super valuable.
Yeah, he doesn't get a lot of recognition, but he's a very valuable player just for his ability to catch out of the backfield and run draws. And
he's a great third down back.
They've got Melvin Gordon, who's going to take some pressure off Rivers. So right now he's going, that's River. We talked about Wilson, who's going around 3. Rivers is going around 11 and 12. Last year there was about a 40-point difference between Rivers and Wilson, which equates to about 3 points a game. 2.5, 3 points a game.
2.5 points. Something around there.
Which might cost you some games, I guess. If you're playing real close games, then you could lose by 2 to 3 points. But it just depends on what kind of value you're going to get. I think there's a way bigger difference than a receiver you're going to get in the 3rd round compared to a quarterback, to a receiver in the 11th round compared to a quarterback in the 3rd round compared to a quarterback in the 10th round.
Yeah, just to clarify too, it's around 50 points.
Yeah,
Wilson had about 50 points more than Rivers. Yeah,
about 4 points a game.
Yeah,
I'd say.
So that's significant. But a receiver, but for 9 rounds difference.
Yeah, and a receiver is going to go. That's just quarterbacks in general. A receiver in the 3rd round is going to give you probably 100 more points.
AJ Green, Mike Evans,
versus
Ty
versus Cordell Patterson or something like that, who's going to probably not get you close to what the other players.
Yeah, you're getting a stud receiver in round 3, and there's just too many good quarterbacks to reach. It's not necessarily a reach on Wilson in round 3, but I just don't think, given the depth of the position, that it
No, if you
validates
like
that
taking
pick.
quarterbacks early and you like to build your team around a quarterback and you think you can find those sleepers in the later round, then definitely like if you want to spend your third round pick on a quarterback. But I've never been one to
Yeah, me either.
take the quarterbacks early because I feel like there's a plethora of them. You can find quarterbacks a lot. I mean, everywhere in the draft there's one.
Like I said, give me Rodgers or Luck maybe in round 2 if they fall to round 3. But other than that, I'm not taking Wilson. All right. So we're gonna jump to running backs.
Yeah, we're gonna jump to running backs.
All right. So just to clarify, that's the way we're gonna do things. I'm gonna do the overvalued pick. Austin's gonna provide you with the undervalued pick, right?
Yeah.
So we'll
just switch it up. Whatever you want.
We'll switch it. Yeah, we'll switch it up with that.
If you ever want to
that seems like it's gonna be a good
you
approach.
can go off the top of your head with an undervalued pick.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So like I said, we're gonna jump to running back.
Yeah.
Now.
Do you want to do overvalued? You want me to do overvalued?
I'll do overvalued.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do overvalued, and then we'll switch it up after that. Right. So overvalued, like I said. I originally had Arian Foster, which would have looked good, but I mean, it's an injury prediction.
He's been injured.
It's not like super crazy
every year.
But I'm saying I thought he was overvalued because the amount of risk he presents. Like a first round pick, a second round pick, you usually want to minimize risk. I mean, I am, like I said, a proponent of C.J. Anderson, so that's a little risky, but I mean, he could be a stud. Yeah. So, but anyway, my overvalued running back is Matt Forte for take 2. That is Matt Forte. Has obviously been a great running back pretty much since he's been in the league. He's a great pass catcher, but right now he's going 9th overall in Yahoo standard leagues in 10-team drafts. So that's first round, like late first round, end of the first round.
Yep.
And that's too high for a couple reasons. He lost Trestman, who pretty much forced the ball down his throat in the passing game, and he added Gase as an OC. And I don't think Gase is going to force the ball down his throat like that.
No, probably not. Gase is a little different. Trestman's known for his passing style.
His pass catching backs. He likes to, throw the ball to the pass catching back. Let's see. So Matt Forte had 130 receptions last year.
He had 102 receptions last year.
102?
Yeah.
102 receptions? I thought he had 130. All right, let me double check that.
He had 130 targets.
130 targets. Yeah. Okay, so let me change that. Okay, so he had 130 targets, 102 receptions. 130 targets, though. That's still a very interesting stat.
Yeah.
I mean, 130 targets for a running back.
He broke the reception record for a running back.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Because he went over 100.
Yeah, 130 catches for a running back would be ridiculous. Yeah. It's like more than almost, I think, Harrison.
Yeah, I think I was looking at Yahoo when I said that, and I like misread it. Yeah,
he has 130 targets, 102 catches.
Okay, 102 catches then, so that makes more sense. So anyway, he in those 102 catches that he had 800 yards and 4 touchdowns, which is a lot of receiving yards for a running back. He added in just barely over 1K rush yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. So I agree.
He averaged about 3.9 yards per carry, I think.
Yeah, it was something
lower.
It was lower number of his career. Yeah, for sure. And I agree with the mindset that a lot of fantasy experts, throw out there that they'd rather be a year too early than a year too late. Because if you're going to spend a first round pick on a guy, they were saying that of Lynch last year, and that ended up, he ended up killing it. But Forte, I mean, he's 29 with almost 2,300 total regular season touches in his career. This is obviously, I think it's around the 2,500 touch mark is when running backs start to fall off a cliff, and obviously around age 29, 30. He presents, far too much risk for a first round pick. If you mess up your first round pick, you can lose your league.
Yeah, it's tough to bounce back.
They always say you can't win your league in the first round, but you can definitely lose it in the first 2 rounds. And if you mess up your first round pick, you're pretty much screwed. It's going to be really hard to come back from that. You better find the C.J. Anderson. You better find the Odell Beckham.
The free agent, insane dude every year.
Yeah, you better find the, whoever else like I mean, unless you like last year, Le'Veon Bell was a 3rd round pick. If you got him in the 3rd round, someone like that this year, if Mark Ingram had a Le'Veon Bell season, you got him, that's the only way you're coming back from it.
So for undervalued, we're going on the hype train today. We're gonna think about a running back who's going pretty late, but is probably gonna be a beast. He's gonna be Latavius Murray. He's going around round 7 right now in 10-team standard drafts, and that's the steal for a guy who definitely has the potential to finish as a top 10 back. Derek Carr is going to stretch the field for him. We've got Cooper, who's apparently looking great in training camp, talking about looking like Jerry Rice. And
Tim Brown comparisons. Could be a Raider thing.
Huge comparisons to great receivers. So right now he's being drafted as the 18th running back off the board, which is behind Todd Gurley, who probably isn't even going to play the first couple games of the season.
Yeah, he might. He's not playing preseason.
Yeah, he's not playing preseason, and Trey Mason's going to take some balls from him.
Yeah.
Latavius Murray right now is getting one RB reps in practice.
Yeah, he's getting all of them.
Yeah, he's getting all the running back reps. He looked great last year before he got hurt. Who was there to challenge him, really? You got Trent Richardson? Probably not.
Yeah.
Derek McFadden's gone.
They got Halou.
Halu's never been one to...
He's a pass catcher.
Yeah, he's never been one to carry the whole workhorse load. So I don't think Halu's going to take too many of his carries.
Definitely not.
Last year, he had a really small sample size last year of attempts. He had 82 carries, but he averaged 5.2 yards. He did run like a 90-yard run, which probably inflates his stats a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
But
that was against the Chiefs. I remember watching that. It was insane.
Tons of reliable sources are saying he's going to be a breakout star. He's just jumping off the screen. His talent is there. And all the coaches are on his side saying he's fast, he's powerful. Carr's going to open the box up. Cooper's going to stretch the field. They're not going to be able to, stack the run like they have been in the past because the Raiders' offense is going to be improved. They're not going to be. I wouldn't say they're going to be a top offense. I'd say I could see him sitting around 18, 19.
Yeah,
offense,
maybe top half.
Maybe 16, 15. But it depends on how good Carr progresses. But if he progresses, then Latavius Murray he's gonna be a steal.
Yeah, I'm saying the sky's the limit for him.
Yeah,
for a
seventh round running back. Yeah, that's when you start to try to find your studs, their diamonds in the rough.
And I don't think that the Raiders' defense is going to be like absolutely stout, but I think it will be better. With
their secondary is a little questionable.
But they got Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
They got some good players on defense. And I mean, if they play good defense, they want to run the ball.
I think that they want to get to that identity. They're good defense, good run.
Like the Seahawks identity.
Yeah, Carr, pass to Cooper.
Popular right now.
Just possession and...
Yeah. So, all right, well, why don't you take the overvalued wide receiver then? I'll take the undervalued.
All right, so my overvalued receiver this year is going to be Martavius Bryant. And I think he's a stud. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's good on the Steelers, but 5th round to me is just a little too early to take, just considering what we've heard out of the Steelers camp. I've heard rumors he's not even number 2 on the depth chart like a lot of people thought. You've got a lot of mouths to feed in Pittsburgh, first of all. You've got Le'Veon Bell.
Bell's out 2 games.
Yeah, first 2 games Bell's out, but don't forget he caught 80 plus passes last year. He caught a lot of passes.
Yeah.
He caught a ton out of the backfield. He runs the ball a lot. He got over 300 touches last year.
Yep.
And counting his carries and passes caught. And I mean, anyone who's watched Bryant knows he's a freak. He's a deep threat. He's very fast. I think he had the highest yards per catch last year in the league.
He had like 21 points, 22.
So, he had over 20 yards. But Roethlisberger has come out and supported Wheaton as his number 2 wideout. So,
yeah, he said he's going to be a breakout player this year.
Yeah, he said he can see them breaking out. So, I mean, that's there's no guarantee what Roethlisberger's thinking. But he likes Wheaton a lot.
He could just be,
And it's really hard for receivers to be so like big play dependent. It's so tough to have consistent big plays. The best receivers are the ones who can catch everything. They can catch over the middle, Calvin, Dez, OBJ. All those players are not just pure deep threats. We haven't seen that Martavius Bryant can be anything but a deep threat yet. He averaged 20 plus yards a catch last year, and he definitely caught. He had 5 touchdowns?
He had 549 yards. He had 8 touchdowns. But
he
had 26 total receptions.
5 touchdowns, and he had 5 games in a row where he caught a touchdown. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. But
so he was definitely good. But the problem is he had 26 receptions last year.
Yeah,
he was a rookie. Right?
Yeah.
So
rookies typically don't do
generally
well.
get 70, 80 receptions.
Last year was kind of different, but.
And there's a lot of mouth to feed there. So Brown is the reception machine on that team.
Yeah.
Brown is the over-the-field guy.
Like you said.
Bell and Brown both had 80-plus catches last year.
Heath Miller's still there.
Yeah.
Wheaton.
It's so hard. I mean, I can't even think of a team besides like the Colts or the Cardinals who've had 2 or 3 players go over 100 catches.
Yeah.
And just having 8 touchdowns on 26 receptions is not sustainable.
And who knows? He could have a killer sophomore year. We don't know. But,
we don't know.
But for a 5th-round pick.
And he's getting talked about a lot, but I think he's going to be a good red zone option, but he's just there's too many mouths to feed in Pittsburgh for him to go 5th round, I think.
And I think that slot thing just kind of turned me off from him a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I was a little higher on him, but then I realized he wasn't even 2 on the depth chart. So like in 2 wide sets, he might not even be on the field.
Yeah.
They might run a lot of 3 wide sets. Who knows?
Yeah, he was the number 42 fantasy receiver last year.
Yeah, he was.
So I mean,
But I mean, 8 touchdowns on 26 receptions.
Yeah,
I don't think that's
it's not
it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
It's not a sustainable touchdown rate.
Especially when you're a deep threat.
Yeah.
He might be able to do it all. We don't know yet, but so far he's considered a deep threat.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it depends on what you think is 5th round ADP worth it. But I mean, I don't know. It just seems a little risky for me for a guy, that's so unproven, and his touchdown rate. And he was a total deep threat last year. He could be more this year. He could totally come, develop and turn into a stud. But you never know. So all right, let's move on to the undervalued. So the undervalued that I have is AJ Green, and this AJ Green is pretty much a case of what have you done for me lately gone wrong, basically. AJ Green is being super undervalued right now. He's going in the 3rd round, which it may not sound like he's being super undervalued to you, but you have to think
He's
about
a top
some
5 receiver.
Yeah. He was injured last year with that nag. It was a toe injury. And it cost him 3 games and hindered him in, several more. And he still put up 1,041 yards and 6 touchdowns. And I think a lot of the concern with AJ Green is people are really concerned about Dalton.
Right.
People forget Dalton was a top 5 fantasy QB in 2013.
He was.
And you know why that was? Because AJ Green was fully healthy. It's the same thing I've always talked about with Stafford, with Calvin. Without Calvin there, he's not nearly as good. Tate had some good games, but with Calvin there, Stafford was a monster. But without Calvin to just throw the ball to, he's I'd consider Stafford and Dalton in the same boat.
Second.
Yeah, like they with that elite receiver, they could be a pretty good quarterback. But without him, it's not. Yeah, they're going to struggle. So I mean, and with Green, I mean, you have to consider he was the number 4 wide receiver in both 2013 and 2012. So I think he's a steal in round 3, as he's pretty much almost a lock to at least be in the top 5 or 6. I think he's going to re-enter the top 5. And he'll be a great wide receiver 1. I mean, you could possibly even grab him as your 2. If you went wide receiver heavy, in the first 3 rounds. Say you went running back, wide receiver, and you got say you got like who's there at 8? Like you got C.J. Anderson, and then you got like Julio and Green. Yeah, that's a great start. I mean, to have those 3. So I mean, I just think AJ Green's being undervalued. He's a guy that could win your league in the 3rd round.
Definitely.
Yeah, top 5 wideout, I think.
Yep. All right, so we're on the tight end. Will's going to do the overvalued for this one.
Yep. So overvalued for this one. It's going to sound a little crazy because it's an 8th round pick, but it's kind of like the quarterback thing, but it's almost like the opposite of that. It's Jason Witten, and I think Witten's being overvalued because he finished just inside the top 10 last year at exactly number 10. He was 6 points ahead of Heath Miller, who was at 11, obviously. But for me, tight end has 2. Well, Gronk is probably the safest option right now. I think, like I said, I predicted Graham will outscore him, but I think Graham's value at round 4, I consider him undervalued. I think he should go maybe round 3, late 2. But I think tight end really has 2 elite options in Gronk and Graham, and 2 good options in Kelsey and Olsen. Kelsey's a little unproven, so you never know. But I think Olsen has been proven, and I think he'll be a good option. But anyway. If we look at the numbers, Witten has kind of been on a steady decline as his age has gotten up there. I mean, he's 33 now. He's not getting any younger. According to Pro Football Focus, Witten was below average in yards per target and yards per route in 2013, and he only had 90 targets in 2014, which ranked 12th among tight ends in the league. Obviously, like people have seen, Dallas is a run-first offense now, and the attempts they had were the second least amount in the league, right in front of the Seahawks. So Dez will get his, and although Witten only blocks around 16% of the time, he's not getting open as much because he's older, and he's not getting the looks and scores he once was getting. I mean, he's still a Hall of Fame tight end, but I think he's past the point where he's an elite fantasy tight end option. And 8th round, obviously, it's not a lot of risk, but Witten's his totals last year in total stats and fantasy numbers, he had 19 more total points than Jared Cook, and Jared Cook is going almost unanimously undrafted. He's 2% drafted right now, Yahoo. So, I mean, and that's the thing, like an 8th round pick or a guy you could pick up off the waiver wire.
Right.
I mean, and there's 19 points difference between them. I mean, that equates to about 1.3 points per game or so, which is not worth it to me for an 8th round pick. I think you take a flyer there, take, someone you think could be a star. Like, it's possible you could even maybe, if they fell, Allen Robinson, Sammy Watkins. You could get Brady there, possibly.
Good value.
Yeah, I mean, I say draft a tight end late if you don't get one of the 4 guys I mentioned. If you don't go after Gronk or Graham early, then I'd say maybe target Olsen or Kelsey. If you don't get one of them, just wait. Wait it out till one of the later rounds, the last 11 through 15 rounds. I say grab something there. Grab Dwayne Allen, grab Owen Daniels, or Delaney Walker. Grab one of those guys.
Yeah. So for I agree with everything you said. Witten's he's a great blocker. Everyone knows that. He's
fantastic.
A fantastic blocker. He's one of the most complete tight ends probably the NFL has ever seen. But you're right. He is getting older, and we know that Father Time doesn't stop for anyone. He's got Tony Romo throwing him the ball, who's definitely a quarterback he'd want to have in terms of talent. But it's not. That line is so good that they like to use their strengths. They like to run the ball a lot. We've seen last year DeMarco Murray had over 400 touches, and I could see a similar thing happen this year with Joseph Randle. He's got a great line, probably the best line in the league, at least for run blocking, the best line in the league.
Yeah, he does.
They have 2 All-Pro players on the line. I think a second-team All-Pro player. So they have 3 out of their 5 linemen are All-Pro.
Yeah,
which is like
it's the best line in the league.
It's a Madden line that you would build in Madden. It's just it's just a great line. And we saw last year how good they made DeMarco Murray. I mean, it was probably about 50-50, but DeMarco Murray was definitely helped out by his line.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I agree with that. I just think Witten's going to be a little. He's risky. 8th round is where you can kind of pick your sleepers, but Witten, he's consistent, but I could see him dropping off this
I just think the upside is limited.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the 8th round,
you want to get those players.
Go for an upside guy.
All right, that's why I think my next player is going to come in, who is the beneficiary of the number 1, arguably number 2 quarterback in fantasy this year, and that's Dwayne Allen.
Yep.
And you could even argue Flenner this year. Either one of them, I'll give you 2, because I think this year Luck is going to throw the ball about 600 times.
They had the most attempts in the league last year.
They did. Yeah. That defense is not going to help them at all.
No.
They have Vontae Davis. They have Mathis, but that's about it. And Mathis is coming off an Achilles injury.
They drafted a wide receiver in round 1. They drafted Dorsett.
They can just tell what
they brought in Gore, so they want to run a little bit more. But Luck's going to.
But Gore's not young. Gore's at 32.
He's not. Yeah. But he'll probably be a better option than what. Heron wasn't bad.
He get 200 touches, but that team is a pass first team.
They threw 661 times last year. They're going to throw at least 600.
And they're going to get more and more trust in Luck every year.
Definitely.
So I think you could Flenner or Allen. Allen played 13 games last year and got 8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He didn't get a lot of yards.
He had a Julius year.
He ended up with around.
It was around 400 yards,
430
yards or something. I
think he had right around 400 yards last year. 8 TDs though. That's almost a touchdown a game. He had 8 TDs in 13 games, so a little like 0.6 touchdowns a game. Flenner had 8 touchdowns in 16 games.
Yeah, he had 395 yards.
Right,
and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean he's a touchdown machine. He's very good. And right now he's going right around the 14th round.
Yeah, I think it's around 13.
13.6. Yeah. 123 is where he's going right now.
Yeah. So that is more close to 14.
And Flenner's going right behind him, ahead of him. Yahoo has Flenner going 125 and 13.1. So Flenner's right there in the mix with and both those. When you're picking round 13, 14, 15, you're looking for the player that is going to give you the big return, and because these are almost like it's a crapshoot.
Yeah,
you're probably not going to pick a great player in the 13th, 14th round because all the good players are going to be gone.
It's possible,
and that's where you're looking for that great player, the Fred Jackson.
I took Steve Smith round 14 one year when Cam first got there. Yeah, he killed
Steve Smith, the players who are not expected to do great, and for me, that's Flenner and Welker. Just Flenner and Dwayne Allen.
Yeah,
just because Luck is going to throw the ball over 600 times this year, and that running game is not great. That defense is not great.
No, definitely not.
Frank Gore is not able to carry a 300 carry load this year. He's 32 years old. He's played a ton of years. He's got a ton of touches. They've purposely shored up their receiving. We know what the Colts are going to do this year. They're going to unleash Luck. Their defense is not going to be able to keep up with offenses.
And I think too, I just think it's really interesting that a lot of people are picking the Colts to win the whole thing. Because like you said, that defense is going to be
atrocious.
Yeah, but I mean,
the Patriots. Patriots defense is going to be bad too. Their secondary is really bad.
Secondary is bad, but they still got good linebackers. They still got.
Yeah, but their secondary.
They lost Wilfolk, but they drafted that DT. I think was supposed to be good in the early rounds.
Yeah, their secondary is just terrible, but that's another story.
Yeah, it is. But I think the Colts defense is going to struggle. But if you're playing with a lead, it helps.
And we know Luck likes his tight ends.
He does.
If Flenner goes down or if Allen goes down, both of those are going to be hugely valuable. They do run a lot of 2 tight end sets.
Yeah.
But one of those tight ends happens to go down, it's almost like a 50-50 shot who's going to go down because
it happened last year.
They get equal playing time pretty much, but Dwayne Allen's definitely the better tight end.
He is. Everyone, yeah.
Yeah, Flanner was really touted. He was talked about how he could be a superstar in this league, but he hasn't really brought it yet. I think this is his third, fourth year in the league.
Yeah,
so he hasn't really brought it to the level that people thought he was going to yet. He's gotten better. So I don't think you go wrong with either one of them in the 13th round.
And it's interesting too. I'm looking at it now. I didn't see this before, but Flanner. It looks like last year Flanner finished as the number 6 tight end.
Yeah,
that's because Dwayne Allen missed time.
Right.
Yeah, so that pretty much proves your point. I mean,
either one of them missed time.
5, 6. Yeah, Flanner was number 6, and then I remember that game he caught like that touchdown. It was on the Redskins, wasn't it? Something like that. And then he caught that long bomb touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he also dropped one too.
Yeah, he would have had an even huge, even bigger day.
Yeah, he had around 24 points, I think, in standard. But yeah, if either one of them goes down, then you have a great tight end. So it's risky, but I think unless you're taking tight end with a top 5 round pick, top 6 round pick, for me it's 3 tight ends. There's Kelsey, there's Graham, and there's Gronk.
Yeah,
and anything below that,
you don't think Olsen?
Maybe Olsen's decent, but I don't know. I just wouldn't take him 6th round.
Yeah,
he just is. I don't know. It's a little early to take him for me. I think he's good. He's not spectacular. But to me, if you're not taking tight end in the first 5 rounds, you might as well just wait because you're. I
think so.
Yeah, you're looking for that return because you have Jared Cook, you have Dwayne Allen, you got
Heath Miller. He might have a good week.
Delaney Walker,
Donnell.
Yeah, there's a lot of players who did well last year that are available in the later rounds that you can pretty much.
Julius.
You're not losing too many points unless if you're getting Gronk or Graham or Kelsey, then you're really strong tight end, but you're not losing too many points between taking a tight end in the 7th round and taking a tight end in like the 12th or 13th round.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think the reward is going to be that.
You got to look for the point differential.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, I think another one too I'll mention is Owen Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
I think he goes around the same area. He's a little bit of a sexy pick right now, but he's still going around 11, 12. And I mean, Kubiak loves his tight end. He's been working with Owen Daniels his whole career.
But yeah, Virgil Green kind of complicating things.
He is a little bit. So but a Manning tight end is valuable.
Yeah, definitely.
But whoever's going to start.
Yeah. Well, no one thought Julius was going to beast it that one year.
No.
So you kind of got to wait and see on those. I think Owen Daniels is proven. He's been a great tight end for a while.
He's old, but
Virgil Green is not really that proven.
He's a blocker.
Yeah, he's almost known as a fullback more so, like an H-back.
Yeah.
So I don't even think that he has really shown. I've heard he's got good hands, but he hasn't really been able to, show us what he can do. So Owen Daniels, I think if you had to pick between the two, I'd take Owen Daniels.
From right now, everything I've heard is Owen Daniels is starting.
Yeah.
But I've heard Manning has been working with Virgil Green a little bit, outside of practice and stuff. So I mean,
and Kubiak loves the tight ends, and Kubiak had Owen Daniels in Houston, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets.
Yeah, the nod. At least the start.
See the start it off.
And that could be a similar situation if one of them goes down, the other one would be much more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think we covered a lot of good overvalues and undervalues there. I mean, I think there are a lot of players that could, potentially, they could, I guess, either wreck your team or really provide value to your team, and even the earlier and the later rounds. You got to consider the depth of each position and the tiers of each position.
Right.
Like if you're not getting an elite guy.
Right. So Will and I used to we used to shoot around 45 minutes or so per podcast, right? So.
Yeah.
We've got about 10 minutes just to talk about. I want to talk about some draft strategies.
Yeah.
That most of us have drafts coming up pretty soon. The season's getting pretty close. We had the first preseason game last night.
We have a draft this Friday.
Yeah, we do have a draft this Friday.
Pretty early.
Yeah,
but
we like to draft.
We didn't decide.
Yeah, we like to keep it around mid-August.
I think ours is August 23rd. It's like maybe the second or the last week in August almost, or the second to last Sunday in August, something around that.
Yeah, we have to keep it towards the end of August just to make sure everything's in place.
Because imagine if you had drafted and then the Foster thing happened. Like imagine if you had already drafted and then Foster got hurt. You'd be pretty pissed.
So me and Will, I think we're each going to give you 2 tips that we think have served as invaluable to us, and we're going to do it in about 10 minutes. So my first tip is to practice. Practice Yahoo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, practice mock drafts on Yahoo and do it consistently. You can basically predict any situation that's going to happen. I mean, people don't always take mock drafts seriously. You might see Connor Shaw go first round, or people like to mess around and stuff like that. But a lot of times you'll see where people pick, how people pick, and why they pick certain players early, when the certain players are staying late. Mock drafts are just almost invaluable. And I think mock drafts started 2 or 3 years ago on Yahoo.
Yeah, they're a great addition. I do too many of them.
They definitely help with, like I said, seeing where players are going, helping you pick under pressure. I think, and you can do a good assortment of them. You can do 12-team mock drafts. You can do 18 mock drafts. You can do 14.
Yep. You can do auctions.
Yeah, auctions. There's all kinds of stuff. So practice makes perfect. And you don't want to go into your draft unprepared. You can win. Like last year, we had our friend who came in completely
he shall remain unnamed.
Completely unprepared. And ended up drafting. Oh, if he hears this, he'll know who he is. He drafted Lynch.
Whatever.
He drafted Lynch. He drafted Bell. He drafted a great team. Did no one said don't pick any of these players? Don't pick Lynch. Don't pick Bell.
I don't know if he came completely unprepared. I just think he ignored.
He freaked
everything.
out. No, he freaked out.
He did freak out. Yeah, he did freak out.
He had the 10th pick
because we were drafting with him, and he was like, I don't know who to take. I'm so nervous. Like he ran the clock all the way down.
Yeah. So and he ended up with Bell, Lynch, Breeze.
He had Breeze had a down year, but he still had a good year.
Yeah, he's still top 5 quarterback. Like he just a freak team that ended up being put together. Just without him being prepared.
It was fate.
Yeah, he had
T.Y.
Hilton. He had a lot of
Golden Tate.
He did ride Denard Robinson a little bit. Which
that was because
point of contention.
That was a point of contention because in Yahoo leagues you could put him at wideout.
And even though he never played wideout.
Yeah, he never played wideout. You could put him at wideout. So our friend put him at wideout, and we let it slide because I don't know what we could have done about it.
Mm-hmm.
We could have been like, no, you can't do that. But it seemed like we were just kind of being bitter.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, all right. So what's your tip to the audience?
So I think what a lot of how in the first round people almost always take running back. I mean, sometimes in the later parts people take receivers like Brown or even Beckham this year. I think running back is deeper than people think it is. I think you have 5 guys really at the top that are probably in the tier 1A, but I think you have some pretty good options at the bottom. Like I said, I'm not feeling too good about Forte, but like I've talked about before in the first episode, C.J. Anderson. Even though DeMarco had a huge load, I think the Eagles are going to try to run the ball, and even if he gets hurt, you get Matthews like round 14,
right? So
you can get Matthews at it. He might get hurt too.
I've heard they want to split almost. I've heard 50-50.
I heard around 17 carries a game for DeMarco. It won't be 25 like he was getting before, but
they have a great run blocking
Chip
line.
Though Chip Kelly can really piss you off with those goal line carries. Like you said, you had McCoy last year, and he would just hand it to Sproles at the goal line
or Polk.
Yeah. So he might do that with DeMarco, but they paid DeMarco a pretty good amount of money.
McCoy had 2 touchdowns last year, I think. Two or 3 touchdowns last year.
I thought he had more than that.
I don't know. He didn't have that many. I think he was towards the low end of.
He had more than 2
last year. He had
5.
5, yeah.
But he had no receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, no receiving. He only had I think like 20 catches.
So he had
last year.
155 receiving yards.
Yeah, he had 28 catches last year.
Yeah,
5 touchdowns. Yeah. He had 1,300 yards, but also had 312 carries.
1,300 rush yards, but it was misleading. Yeah. It was like all over the place.
Yeah, he only got 100 yards.
I remember he almost made you like want to pull your
4
hair
games.
out. Yeah, but anyway, like I think there are a lot of good options there at the end of round 1. I think, I think who's there like Jeremy Hill, DeMarco, like I said, CJ. I think if you're picking 10, CJ's a great pick if he falls to 10. Some people might not. Right now he's going in round 2. So I think he'll still be there, but if I'm in the league and I'm picking like 7th, I'm probably going to take CJ. Because I think he has the upside. Yeah. Like we said, it's a little bit of risk. I'm willing to accept that. Because I'll draft Monty Ball, whoever's click confirm number 2. I'll draft Dewan Thompson, around 15 or something. But I think if you're picking in the top 5, you want to go. I think you should go running back. I think there's an instinct there, or something to Luck or Rodgers, and a lot of people in our league take those quarterbacks in the first round. It's a standard 10 team, 4 points for a touchdown.
That's my next strategy.
Yeah, okay, so I'll let you do that in a second. But like with running backs, I think especially if you're picking near the end of round 1, I think you should take a stud receiver. If you're in your first 2 picks, I think you should have 1 running back. I think running back is deep, but I think you want an elite guy.
You don't want to be stuck with D'Angelo Williams or
no. I don't think. Personally, I like Ingram a lot, but I don't necessarily want him as my RB1. I think he's a good RB2, but I think Ingram is where you're looking. If you wait till like round 3 or round 4 to take a running back, you're looking at like Ingram or force that. Yeah, Doug Martin was really late.
Yeah, I'm saying like if you're waiting too long, you're gonna get a running back like Doug Martin.
As your 2.
Yeah, as your 2. Yeah. And Doug Martin could be good.
And we love Latavius Murray, but I don't know if I want him as my 1 right now. I think he could be top 10, but
he's
I don't know for
sure.
He's
the person you draft for your bench, and then you start him if he's good.
I think you draft him as your RB2.
You don't. For me, he just, I mean, he
Because
got
he's
hurt last
seventh round
year.
pick, I think that's perfect RB2. Perfect RB2.
I want someone reliable for RB2. You're
gonna have to go early then.
My strategy usually, it depends on where I'm picking, but it's generally running back, receiver, running back. I try to get fourth round area of running back. So a good solid RB2 who you know is not going to be very low ceiling but high floor. You know he's going to be consistent. You know he's going to give you the points you need RB2. Because I'm not looking for a studded RB2. I'm looking for someone to be consistent. I'm looking for someone to like get me my 10 to 12 points a game.
Yeah.
And help me
13,
win. Help me win games and maybe give me 1 or 2 big games a season.
Yeah. And do you mind if I just jump into my second one real quick? Yeah. So the second one, I think it kind of stems off from that one. Like I said, I think you should take a running back in the first 2 rounds, but I don't necessarily think that it's always good to come in with a set strategy. Mm-hmm. And I say that because say you're picking 9th or 10th, right? And then everyone follows what I say and starts taking all the running backs, right? And then like the best guy available is like, I don't know how I feel about McCoy this year with that line. So say the best guy available is McCoy, and you don't feel comfortable with him, but like Dez and Demarius are sitting there. Take those two.
I think that's right.
Yeah,
and
take those two.
When I say practice, I mean practice so you're prepared for whatever situation could arise.
And that's you got to adapt.
Right. So you practice enough so you can adapt. You don't freak out and just take some player that is not going to be, you know what I mean? Just take some player that you don't want because you run out of time. So when I mean practice, I don't mean, oh my God, I got to have a set draft strategy. I got to figure out who I'm going to pick in each round and know who I'm going to pick right away. No, it doesn't work like that because you don't know who's going to take who in front of you. So what I mean by practice is be prepared to adapt, to be prepared to change your pick as the draft ebbs and flows. You have to know, you have to not freak out. You have to be able to pick pick what everyone else does off what they do. Because you don't, if you're picking 8th or 9th, you can't, someone's going to take, you can to an extent predict how the draft's going to go down. But someone's probably going to jump on CJ. Yeah. And what if you're trying to get CJ 8 or 9, someone jumps on him, that's your pick, and you've planned on CJ the whole round, and then someone takes CJ at 7. Like, what are you going to do then? You have a minute and 30 seconds at the most to figure out who you want. Yep. So you have to be prepared. You have to have a couple, 2 or 3 guys who you'd be happy with to take and put them in your queue and just get ready. If you're,
the queue is a good thing to use for Yahoo.
Yeah, I usually use it just to
especially if you DC, they'll draft
to keep track of who I want if they're still there instead of having to sift through the whole thing and find. I like to keep my queue ready when as I go on.
Definitely.
Yeah. So my second pick, and this is just a personal thing. I think we've talked about it a little bit before. I think you should wait on quarterback. Yeah. I think that there are a ton of quarterbacks, and this is becoming more and more of a popular sentiment among fantasy players, the wait on quarterbacks. But like Will said, there's always that guy or 2 guys who will take Manning, Luck, Rodgers.
Yeah.
Those
Manning went number 4 overall in our
right.
league.
So you have people who really really like quarterbacks, and if you're playing in a 2 QB league, then it's different. Yeah, because you have 2 QBs. So yeah, it really depends on the league. But I'm talking 10-man standard Yahoo, which me and Will play mostly. So when you have Luck sitting at 4 and Rodgers sitting at 5 or 6. I just don't think you're going to get the return that you would taking another position there. Like there's 5 or 6 good running backs, right? If you're taking a quarterback in round 8, he's probably going to finish top 7, 8 in the league. Yeah. Which is going to be around 40 points difference.
But Luck and Rodgers are almost like guaranteed locks. Right, they're going to be 1 and 2.
Right, they're going to give you the guaranteed 20 points a game. Yeah. But what you're going to be missing is you're taking a quarterback who's getting you 3 more points a game than someone you get in the 8th round. Yeah. But if you're taking a running back, you're getting someone who's going to give you 9 to 10 more points a game than someone you're getting in the 8th round. So just look at
the value.
Yeah, look at your return. Look at where you're taking your running backs. Like if you're getting a running back in the 8th round, you need that sleeper. You need to find the player who's going to break out because you're not going to get the 8th round running back is not going to give you a good return normally. You have to be comfortable in finding the sleeper, which is very hard to do. So yeah, I think there's so many good quarterbacks. Matt Ryan last year, I mean, he was
actually number 7, I think.
Yeah, 7. He didn't go till the 8th or 9th round.
He was 7.
Romo
was good last year.
Roethlisberger went undrafted.
Eli was top 10.
There's so many good quarterbacks. And usually, I mean, at the most, people will have 2 quarterbacks on their rosters. I generally only keep 1.
Or Eli was 11. So.
Yeah, I mean, so at the most, 15 quarterbacks are taken probably at a time. Yeah. Which means that you can find someone to plug and play while your guy's on bye.
Tannehill last year. No one had him on the radar.
Rivers, Roethlisberger, just so many good quarterbacks.
Cam this year, like I said.
Yeah, and I just don't think you should take a quarterback. If you're in a tight spot where you're running down the clock and you don't want Antonio Brown or you don't want Gronk and you're sitting at number 6, then sure, go for it. Take Luck because he's going to give you the 20 points a game. He'll probably have 1 or 2 bad games this season where he gets you under 10.
He gives you that floor.
Yeah, but he gives you a solid foundation to build your team around. I just think that there's a lot more return to be had compared to later rounds with other positions. Right receiver, running back, you're going to get more return and more bang for your buck in that early round pick than quarterback. And that's what matters is maximizing your return.
I think so too. So yeah, I think that'll pretty much sum it up there. Yeah. So I think that's everything, right?
Mm-hmm. We're going to keep it updated. There's our second episode of season 1.
We're going to try to do them every other day. Mm-hmm. And then once football season starts, we'll try to do them every day. But, with our, full-time gigs, it might be, every other day.
And I tried to post on Reddit, but I got deleted. So I'm trying to keep this podcast out there for you guys to listen to. If you've been listening to it, we appreciate it very much.
I'm not sure what the Reddit rule with that is. Like, you
deleted.
linked it to me, and then it was, removed. And I was like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, so we're looking for different ways to get our name out there. And if you have a friend who likes fantasy football, then refer them to us. Yeah.
Send us an email.
We haven't gotten it yet, but we're waiting, and we're gonna keep.
We're anxiously awaiting.
We're gonna keep looking and keep responding. Yeah. Join our Facebook page, join our Twitter.
Yep.
We got Instagram, we got every social media all the kids are using these days, and we're gonna look at all of them and YouTube and everything. So
downloaded Periscope. I don't think I made us an account yet. It's basically I think it's like a live view of what we're doing. So we'd have to get someone to film us, basically. Okay. Which would be pretty cool though, because a lot of other podcasts do that. It gives people a little insight into how. Yeah. So eventually,
down the road, we're gonna have that. Probably we're gonna just get a little bit of everything.
You'll see our very modest setup. Mm-hmm. We have one long table and two microphones.
Yep, two laptops. And, but
yeah, got to start somewhere. So anyway, all right, I think that sums it up. Like I said, send us your emails. We'll answer them if we can.
See you Wednesday.
Yep. So that'll do it for us. That is the second episode.
Yep. Take care. Bye.
Thanks.